Mm.
Jai Hind, friends. Today we are here to welcome you all in the second session of our Indian independence movement. Throughout this August month, as we promised, every week we will have one session to highlight the various aspects of the Indian independence movement. And today we will discuss the importance of the women of India in the independence movement. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, that when a society goes only with the help of the capability of the male of that society, it is almost like a man walking in 1 feet. So to have a society, a complete society, we should have the involvement of the woman counterpart equal to the male counterpart. And if we see the history of our freedom movement, from the very beginning, from the first war of independence to the last war of independence, we will have the involvement of women in all the battles, all the uh, stages, in all the stages, in all the battles, we will have the involvement of our women in our freedom movement. if we can, if we will say that the first war of independence were fought by Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi, we can easily say the last war of independence became complete when the Rani Jhansi Regiment of Indian National Army joined there. So today we will have with us Shri Sanjay Choudhry and Shri Abhijit Roy to discuss the involvement of various women in this battle of independence, the war of independence. And to start with this discussion, I will request Audrija to start with the with telling about few women warriors of our war of independence. Audrija, over to you.
Jai Hind. Today I will discuss few names and their lives who remained actually unsung in our freedom movement. First, I will start with the life of Sharola Devi. She was actually Rabindranath Tagore's niece, but she was known for her own contribution in the freedom movement of India. Her mother, Swarnakumari Devi, was the first woman delegate to a Congress session in 1899. In 1902, the year which saw the birth of Anushilon Shamiti, Bengal's earliest revolutionary group, Sharola Devi set up a gymnasium in South Kolkata. The movement was preceded by the formation of gymnasiums and other centers of physical training, which included lathi and dagger play at several places. These centers later developed into secret revolutionary groups. In 1903, Sharola Devi started Protapaditya Utsav, which was in the line of Shivaji Utsav introduced by Bal Gangadhar Tilak in Maharashtra. She also played an instrumental role in the formation of Shurit Shamiti in 1900. This was a new revolutionary organization based at Moymanshing, now in Bangladesh. Sharola Devi didn't agree to the fundraising that was done for the dacoity of the train. So she was kept away from Anushilan Shamiti. And that's maybe one of the reasons why we don't hear much about her, and not much has been written on her. But Sharola Devi's fencing club that was in Baliganj was very prominent. One reason for Sharola Devi's interest in revolutionary politics is revealed in a quote from her memoir, Jiboner Jhorapata. He always disliked the cowardice that was blotted on Bengal's forehead. So she always wanted to wipe it off. Sharola Devi during this time wrote a hard-hitting article which was titled as Bilati Ghushi Bonam Deshi Kil, which means foreign blows versus native fists. Then two more very important women who played an important role in our freedom movement was Nonibala Devi and Dukari Bala. Nonibala Devi, who was widowed in her early life, dared to communicate information to a political prisoner by meeting him in the jail, posing as his wife in 1915. She later sheltered some young activists connected with the celebrated German plot mooted by Jotindranath Mukherjee or Bagha Jotin, the legendary martyr in the Balasore battle, September 1915. Nonibala was finally arrested, and in jail she had to suffer inhuman physical torture. For example, powdered chili was pushed into her private organs. She, however, did not give and put up with imprisonment for about 4 years. Nonibala was probably the first woman state prisoner held under Regulation 3 of 1818. Dukari Bala Devi, a housewife from Birbhum, quoted imprisonment in 1917-1918 on being held on charges of keeping arms in her custody. Another housewife who also suffered imprisonment during 1917 was Sindhubala Devi. She was arrested following a police raid on her house in search of her husband. In some cases, women discarded by society as fallen also helped the activists in one way or another. In 1907, when the police mercilessly attacked a group of Swadeshi volunteers in a North Calcutta street, prostitutes retaliated by throwing stones at the police from rooftops. Women participation increased in the second phase of the movement in late 1920s. Young girls, mostly from better off families, now took part in actions and began to start the nation with exploits. They had before them the examples of large-scale participation of women in non-cooperation 1921 and civil disobedience 1930 movements. They personally saw or heard of women joining in Satyagraha, burning foreign clothes, boldly fighting with the mounted police and facing physical assaults. Young girls, mostly good students, refused to remain content with their studies and began to establish contact with secret groups. Kullani Dash, elder sister of Bina Dash, started a women students organization, Chhatri Shangho, at Bethune College. Leela Rai also set up Dipali Shangho, a similar organization at Dhaka. The Calcutta girls made their debut in politics by joining volunteer corps under the stewardship of Subhash Chandra Bose during the Calcutta Congress of 1928. Dressed in uniform after the military fashion, girls ushered in a new chapter of women's participation in the freedom struggle. Until the beginning of 1930s, women did not take part in any revolutionary action. In May 1931, Shanti Ghosh and Shumiti Choudhry, two Kumilla girls, asked Subhash Chandra whether he would like to see women in action. Bose agreed to it. Inspired by this, Prafulla Brahma, leader of Kumilla girls, prevailed upon their dadas to give them arms, and finally Shanti and Suniti made history by killing Magistrate Stevens on December 14, 1931. The incident was strongly condemned by a section of Congress leaders and intellectuals. Provashi, a Bengali monthly at that time, wrote, "The country is in a miserable state, even girls are engaging in killing." Veena Dash's abortive attempt on Governor Jackson on February 6, 1932 followed it. Veena herself later said, "My object was to die, and if to die, die nobly fighting against the despotic system of government." Pritilota Vadedar, whom Surya Sen directed to lead an attack on an European club, wrote in her diary that Mastarda put the mantle of leadership on her to let the English learn and the world take notice that women of our country are no longer lagging behind. She conducted the raid successfully and then committed suicide. The leaflet found on her body ended with these sentences: "I earnestly hope that our sisters would no longer nurse the view that they are weak, disregard thousand dangers, and join the rebellion and the armed struggle for freedom,
Adrija,
and will prepare themselves for it. With this hope in my heart, I am proceeding today for self.
Adrija, 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 I think there is some network issue we are facing from Adrija's side today. Adrija, you are not audible.
Till how long, how much, how far I was audible? Did
Yes,
you hear?
just start with the lines from the letter of Pritilota.
So actually, the leaflet found on her body ended with these sentences: "I earnestly hope that our sisters would no longer nurse the view that they are weak. Armed women of India will demolish thousand hurdles, disregard thousand dangers, and join the rebellion and the armed struggle for freedom, and will prepare themselves for it. With this hope in my heart, I am proceeding today for self-immolation." Yes, Anushka.
So we have heard from Adrija about the stories of few women who took part actively in the war of independence. And now I will request Shri Abhijit uncle to tell us about Srimati Bibhavati Bosu and Srimati Bashanti Devi, how they managed the household and how they supported the revolution, standing along with their family and husband during the War of Independence. Abhijit uncle.
Thank you, Anushwa. Well, I will start with the senior one, Bashanti Devi, because Bashanti Devi was quite senior, uh, wife of Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das. Now, one thing, it should be very clear that Bashanti Devi was not responsible for managing the household. If you remember, in the Swadeshi movement, when under the guidance and leadership of Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das, the people of Bengal came down the streets. They were actually boycotting the foreign goods and urging the people to own the handloom things, particularly the khadi. And under the instruction of Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das, the first women's rally or women's procession which came out supporting this Swadeshi movement, it was led by none other than Bashanti Devi herself. Because Chittaranjan wanted to show that my family members, if they stay back at home, it will not be a good example for the countrymen. So he said that my wife will lead the first procession organized by the women of Bengal, and my son will, Chiranjan Das, will lead the procession organized by the men in favor of the Swadeshi movement. So Bashanti Devi, she led the rally. She took the leadership in selling khadar right on the roadside, and the police arrested her, and she was made to sit in the police station in Lal Bazar for a few hours. But Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das did not show any emergency to ring up people so that Bashanti Devi would be released soon. He was very quiet. He said that what is natural, I must accept it. And he did not panic. And actually, according to Bashanti Devi, which I have heard from my elders, when she came back after a few hours, when he came back home, the first thing which Deshabandhu told him, that they have let you free so early. At least they should have kept you overnight in the prison so that the people would know. So this was Bashanti Devi, who was curated like that by Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das. And of course, Bashanti Devi, what I've heard, she was a great hostess, and she took care of all the revolutionaries and the Congress workers and the members of the Swaraj party. She used to entertain them when they used to come down and have meetings with Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das. And the sacrifices which she made when Deshabandhu was very sick, Deshabandhu, he left his profession as a lawyer, and he also, his earnings went to a zero. Then to manage the household was really a problem, along with the fact that there were many people in the family and many guests used to come, but they never used to get disappointed. This was Bashanti Devi. And one thing which was common when I talk about my grandmother Bibhavati Bose, I would say that one thing was common in Bashanti Devi and also with Bibhavati Bose, that both of them, both of them pampered, if I'm allowed to say so, both of them pampered Subhash Chandra Bose to a greater extent. And Subhash Chandra Bose was really pampered by Bashanti Devi, whom he used to call Ma or Mother, and his elder sister-in-law, Bibhavati Bose. Bibhavati Bose also had to face a lot of hardships, and she was very quiet-natured, and she knew about the sacrifices which are being made by her husband, Sharat Chandra Bose, and his brother-in-law, Subhash Chandra Bose. And after Sharat Chandra Bose was arrested, he was arrested twice. And lastly, when he was arrested from 41 to 45, he was in British prison, so British captivity. There, I mean, a lawyer in prison means there is no income of the family. And at that time, he was the only earning member of the family. Later on in 41, of course, Ashoknath Bose, the elder son, he was earning. Obhiyanath was he was in London, ensuing studies, and every other sons and daughters, excepting the elder one, my mother Mira, she was married in 1935. Otherwise, everybody, they were studying. So it was really very difficult to manage the house. And one more thing, one Woodburn Park, Sharat Bose's residence, they had a lot of domestic helps. And they had 2 cars, they had two drivers. So Bibhavati Bose, she took the trouble in paying all the domestic helps, a handsome amount of money, and giving them reference letters so that they could go and get job elsewhere, because she could not afford to keep so much of domestic helps, and also the driver. Now, there's one story which I would like to recall. When she told a very old driver, he was a Muslim actually, that's besides the point, that I cannot afford to keep you because I'm facing a very great financial distress. Then the person said, Mother, if you can bear the strains of the economic constraints, I, as your son, can also bear it. I will stay with you. I will not leave. If you eat 1 meal a day, I will also have 1 meal a day. So he didn't leave, because at that time of distress, he did not want to leave his Bibhavati Bose, who was like his mother. So these were the sacrifices made by these 2 ladies. And the second thing is, the 2 ladies, another thing was in common. They never complained. They never complained that they had to fight so much, and they had to bear so much of strain in managing the family and managing the household. So actually, although they may not be directly involved with the freedom movement, which I believe Bashanti Devi was on a prime stage, but Bibhavati was, maybe she was not involved directly in the freedom movement, but the support which she gave to the freedom fighters, which was exemplary in nature. And we must also recognize many such deeds of the ladies who were behind these freedom fighters in Bengal, in India. Thank you very much.
Mishma Shai, before ending with you, I will just request you to recall the story which you told me once about the nursing, the nursing mother told to told to Bibhavati Bose about Amionath Bose and Subhash Chandra Bose's association. Will you please recall that? As you said that she pampered Subhash Chandra Bose, I just wish to share that story through you to the listeners.
No, actually, Bashanti Devi, once she complained about Subhash to Prabhavati Devi, because Subhash was very, he was not very particular regarding taking his food and all that. He was so busy with meetings and all that. You see, one fine afternoon, it was around 3 o'clock, he suddenly came down to Deshabandhu's house. And he said, Ma, I'm feeling very hungry, I want food. The Bashanti Devi said, are you mad or something? Everybody has gone to bed. They are resting. So, the cooking is over now. What shall I give you? Well, I give whatever you give me. You give me boiled rice, I'll have that. There is a item in Bengali which is called Tanaba. I mean the rice which is cooked there along with vegetables and all that. That particular what do you call that? The juice of the rice is not separated. So the charge of the rice is not separated, and it's like that. Well, I want that. So Bashanti Devi, she herself, she had that. She prepared the chula. She made the thing. Subhash ate there, and he was lying in the couch, resting in front of, on the veranda. Now, it was raining. It was raining actually. So Bashanti Devi said, Subhash, beta, why don't you go home? Well, no, I'm very tired. I want to sleep. Then Bashanti Devi said, see, that poor man is getting wet in the rain. He was a British spy who was supposed to keep an eye on Subhash. So as Subhash had entered Deshabandhu's house, that poor fellow was standing, below a lamppost, getting wet in the rain, and he was waiting for Subhash to come out. So Subhash said, what can I do? What can I do? I didn't tell him to wait for me. I didn't tell him to keep a watch on me. He said, Beta, he is doing his job for the sake of his own tummy. So why don't you understand that? Go home. No, I'll get wet in the rain. Well, no. I will give you an umbrella. You go. You walk down. So Subhash, getting his grumblings, he took umbrella, started. Why don't they mind their own business? I don't know. I have just come to have a place, and that also won't suit them. They will just go on following me for 24 hours. This is something which I don't like. And he went away. So on this perspective, once Bashanti Devi told Prabhavati Devi, Didi, tell Subhash not to be that careless. He will ruin his health. He doesn't have any timing for eating and all that. And he should at least maintain some discipline in life. So in reply, Prabhavati said that what should I tell him, Didi? I have only given him birth. You are his actual mother. And he would listen to you more than listening to me. That's the thing. And this is the story which I've heard from my elders. And actually, Bashanti Devi was very upset after she heard that Subhash has left India. He said that at least I had expected my son to tell me before going. Anyway, he's going to come back, I know, because he had promised me that when I'll come back and I'll have that kanavat from cooked by me. So she had that belief in her till she breathed her last that she was going to come back one day or the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle. And now I will request Sanjay Uncle to tell us about another great woman, Srimati Shoti Sahay, Uncle's grandmother and the wife of Sri Ananda Mohan Sahay, who took active part in the freedom movement when the couple both was in India and when they were in Japan. So I will request Uncle to uh, tell us about his grandmother. Uncle, you are muted.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. You know, while, Sati Sen, later Sahay, she was there, but when I was doing my research on women revolutionaries, I found so many from all over the country.
Absolutely.
Women who stood in the, so not only Rani Lakshmi Bai, even Hazrat Mahal, then there was this lady from near Cochin who beat the Portuguese so badly that they had to run away. There was Kanaklata Barua from Assam. From Odisha, there was Rama Devi. And I'm just taking a few names. Of course, there was Madam Kama. And then there's so many of them who all stood there, with the men, shoulder to shoulder. And that is the strength of our Ma Durgas. Okay?
Absolutely.
So I call them Ma Durga. And that is something that the British could never understand because, they were very flummoxed by the fact that these women who had their saru pallus on their head, but they were coming out. Bengal was a leader in this. Bengal was the leader because education reached the women earlier there. There were, of course, peasant revolts around the country. Okay, but in Bengal, it was the middle class, the educated middle class, who came out and led. Just now, Abhijit has told you about Bashanti Devi. Bashanti Devi's sister-in-law, that means Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das's sister, Urmila Devi. So they were both, and Urmila Devi was married to Sati Sahay's father, Naren Sen, who was himself a freedom fighter based in Borishal. But his first wife had died, Sati's earliest original mother. And when he married Urmila Devi, then they used to usually live in Calcutta because of better education and all that. And they were used to live in Chittaranjan Das's house. So Urmila Devi was like she was like a sister to Bashanti Devi. So wherever they went for all these rallies, and Vida has already told you what great things she would do, and they would go out when Chittaranjan Das was in prison. He specially told both Bashanti Devi and Urmila Devi, you people have to read. We are not there. So you get the women out. You have to activate the women. Because women are 50% of our population. Now, so this kind of attitude, Subhash, because he was such a visitor there, he also imbibed that spirit. And later on, that is what led to the formation of the Rani Jhansi Regiment. Okay, so he felt that this was a huge force which we are not tapping. After that, so now I'll come to Sati Devi.
Uncle, you got muted again.
Okay. So she was born in Bodhisal, and but she had her education in Calcutta. Now, as was the rule that time, even in Deshbandhu's house, there was English education was being. So she was also put in, along with one or two other cousins, in a convent school, which she hated. As a girl, she was too rebellious. When the convent sisters wanted her, because at that time they had to sing God Save the King. That was the anthem that, but she would insist on saying, God save the king. Okay, so the sisters were very, very angry with her. And she said, I can't say, I'm a Bengali, I can't say so, I can say only sure. Of course, there is a lot of complaints. Otherwise, also, she was a bit of a tomboy. So she used to create all kinds of problems. Fortunately, she survived. Maybe because of her uncle, very influential uncle, Deshbandhu. And they, so later on, of course, she found her feet when she finally, after school, she went to Shantiniketan. And she was happiest there because she could run around. Gurudev used to really like her, and also he would give full freedom to these people. That is where the love for India and freedom flowered in her. And she was, and she used to have this thing in her that I want to, visit all the distant lands, have an adventurous life. And she would be hearing all these stories from her mother and her aunt. And she was a very good singer. So all the Congress conferences and all that, so Bande Mataram used to be sung. And her Bande Mataram rendition was supposed to be very good, I'm told. And later on, my grandfather, Anand Mohan Sahay, was also a very frequent visitor to Chittaranjan Das's house because they were, because he was part of the Congress movement. He had left his medical studies. He'd become the private secretary of Rajendra Prasad, and he would travel everywhere with him, and he would also frequent this place. Also in Patna, Chittaranjan Das's brother, P.R. Das, who was a very big barrister, so he would also be there. And his wife is who my grandfather used to call her Ma, because his own mother was in the village, but he had left his village much against, and he had joined the freedom movement much against his father's wishes. Anyway, so when everyone went to jail after the non-cooperation was called off, then he was told that you need to go and finish your studies. He said, okay, I will try. I'll try and go to US. His main plan was to join the Ghadar party there. I'll go there and join the Ghadar party, which had already started doing work there. In the meantime, he had been meeting Sati Devi, and they had, in a way, decided that, yeah, we would love to get married because we can both then work for freedom. But anyway, he said that, look, I'm going to Japan. I don't know when I'll come back. If I come back, we'll get married. So he went off. Sati Devi, in the meantime, was busy with all these rallies and conferences and agitation, but Sahay came back after 5 years. From 1923, he went to Japan, and 1920, not 5 years, a little less than that, he came back to Calcutta on one of his visits. because he would come sometimes. He would go around all over Southeast Asia, and he had developed one business of trading in various countries. Business was a total failure because he never bothered about the business part. So he used to use this to go to various people, various address people with students, who are Indians all over the place. Anyway, he came back. Then they met again, and he had gone to Shantiniketan, and he was talking to Gurudev. And Gurudev, in his very, very twinkling eye, he told him that Sahay, Anand used to call him, Anand, you are wasting your time. You have got only a few days in India. You're wasting your time here. There's someone waiting for you. You better go there. Okay, don't spend time with this old man. So, of course, he was very happy. Anyway, they took Gurudev's permission to get married. Then they went and took the blessings of Bashanti Devi and Urmila Devi, who agreed. And then the marriage was held in Patna in Piyadas's house.
That describes the romanticism in the old poet at that time also.
Yes, yeah. No, but it was all, okay, this is our chance. We'll get married, but we'll continue to work for
Absolutely
together. And that was Sati Devi's dream also, to go to different distant lands, but work for freedom. So that was what she wanted, that she could go, and Japan was an exotic place to think of. You must remember that Japan was the only country outside, in Asia, which was not under foreign rule. Japan in 1905 was the only Asian country to have defeated a white nation, that is the Russian, won in the Russian, Japan-Russian war. So that, and they wanted to be good. So anyway, they went there. Sahay again got busy with his movement and his going around the place, and because he was working with Rajbihari Bose, and Rajbihari used to tell him that, look, I am being watched very closely. You quietly, that's why he didn't stay in Tokyo, that you stay in Kobe, because the Indian, and organize the Indian business there. He was doing that. Sati Devi, in the meantime, was not to be left behind. She started rounding up the wives of all these Indian businessmen. And she would influence them and tell them that, why you people should donate more money, because that money was going to the freedom movement and to the Congress agitation in India. On one occasion, in 1929, when the declaration for full freedom was made, and Sahay was there, he raised the flag, and she went that morning, she went around and said, no, everyone must, all Indians must unfurl the tricolor. She went around all these houses and she saw 3 Indian, everyone was flying the tricolor, except 3 Indians. I don't want to take any names, but basically they were businessmen. So there was someone from Punjab, there was someone from Gujarat, and there was someone from UP. And they were flying. So she had gone with a box of matches. She got the flag out and made a bonfire there. Made a bonfire there. The British, who had a treaty with Japan, the British resident there was extremely angry, and he went and complained to the Japanese. But the Japanese reply was very different. He said, we are not going to arrest Mrs. Sahay because we do not arrest patriots. So that was how much support they were giving her. And they also knew that she would happily go to jail and she would create more ruckus there. So, of course, then this continued for some time. She was also, and once, now the time had come that the first INA was being formed, but Rashbihari knew from the beginning that, this leadership by Mohan Singh is not going to work, because he would get into problems with the Japanese, and they needed Japanese help. So, and Indian Independence League was already there. He was the president. Sahay was the secretary, general secretary. Devnath Das and various other people were there. Now, then they said, look, we have to get Bose here, Subhash Babu. And the German consulate in Tokyo was in touch with, through their sources, and the Japan embassy there in Berlin. They were being able to correspond and exchange messages and all that. But once the war started, it became very difficult. And Subhash also came back to Calcutta. Then he was imprisoned. Now they said, we have to give it. We are ready now. We've already, the soldiers of the POWs is there. And this first INA is flagging. We need a charismatic leader like him. That is when, now, the British were very strict at that time. So anyone coming, and especially someone marked like Mrs. Sahay, like Sati Devi, would be arrested or would be watched. So anyone else would go. But because she was a Bengali and she was going home to her mother, so it was decided that she would go and inform. And she also, because she knew Prabhavati ji and Subhash, so he said, you go and take this message that everything is ready, you must come. So, but then if she went just like that, the British would suspect something. So these two had a plan. They started behaving as if they are fighting. Every day Japanese are very quiet, they don't fight in public. But these two fought loudly. So the neighbors got to know that Sahay marriage is on the rocks. One fine day, like a good Indian wife, so she said, Ami Mayar Badi Jachi. Bye. I cannot tolerate you anymore. So she took her two daughters and came to Calcutta. And she didn't stay in her own mother Urmila Devi's house. She first stayed in Shanti Niketan for a few months. Then, because she was looking at a chance, but it was very dangerous at that time. She finally took a place in Bobazar. And she managed to send a message to her, she used to call her Mashi, Prabhavati ji, that I need to. So one day there was some function, family function was there. And she was also invited. She was being followed everywhere by these. And these fellows would, and especially when they saw her going to Ellington Road house, then they said, something is happening. Anyway, she went, and fortunately she was able to meet and give the message. So the moment she came out, again they were following. And that night, that same night, the CID paid a visit. One Mr. Mukherjee had come. Of course, this was 9 o'clock in the night. So she got into a total temper, fired that poor fellow. And what are you, a Bhadralok or no? You're coming to a lone Bengali lady house at night. Don't you know what you have? No, where is your marriage? You come in the morning. Fortunately, she had already got her passport. That also there was a problem, and a visa for going to Japan. Just 2-3 next day morning they came and they searched and all that. They found no papers, no nothing. She was too smart for that. But within 2-3 days, there was a ship going. She took the ship. Then they tried to stop her at the docks. But there was the Bengali doctor on that ship. So he came and he took her on ship. It was a Japanese ship. Now, on the ship, the land police cannot do anything because that is considered as Japanese soil. So once she came on board, they couldn't catch her. So she came back, and then happily, as far as the neighbors were concerned. So, these are the incidents I'm telling you, because she led a very adventurous life. Then the war started. There was hunger, there was bombing. She had a very bad case of arthritis because in that cold, and she could hardly walk to the trenches when the siren went off. Then her daughters were there. When Subhash Babu finally came, they went to beat him. That is the time my mother, who was 15 years old, said that me and my sister, we want to join the Rani Jhansi regiment. So Subhash Babu said, you are so thin, and how can you, and so on, will you be able to kill people? So Sati Devi told him, no, they are very brave and they are infused with all patriotism, so don't worry about that. He said, okay, grow up a little, then it will come. Immediately she offered, and my mother, Bharati Sahay, later to be, of course, but Bharati Sahay, she was able to go with her father and join the Rani Jhansi regiment. Unfortunately, by that time, early 45, very early in 45, the war had already turned, and there was all this thing about, retreating. But in any case, my mother was given this 2 months, although it was 6 months training, but there was no time. So 2 months training, and it was a regular training in Rani Jhansi regiment. Okay, regular training, that is what Subhash Babu had told Lakshmi Bai. And so there was regular training, driving right from starting with bicycle, jeep, firing anti-aircraft guns, firing pistols, unarmed combat, jungle hikes, how to survive in the jungle. So this was all done to them. So I'm just adding on my mother's part also, because because these are two women who were, and of course, there were so many of them. They were all Indians, people of Indian origin who were there in Southeast Asia. Most of them, in fact, Captain Lakshmi told Subhash Babu that, I am in Singapore, all these women are middle class women, and they only look after their comfort and their clubs and all that. So I don't think we'll get who will come and join. So he only said, look, I don't want middle class. Let them be where they are. Call the women from the villages, from the plantations, Indians, and women came in hordes. In the first 6 months or 8 months, they already had some 1,600 women who were being trained. And they had training camp in Bangkok, in Singapore, in Shanghai. And the women who were there working in the plantations, they came, but most of them had never been to India. They'd only heard of India. And they said, we are slaves here. We will fight. So that is the spirit, and the spirit of patriotism, and the whole idea of India, that my motherland. So this was what was really came up. Anyway, they went, they had to come back, they had to retreat. Subhash Babu was with them. And then in the last, he settled them. Each one of them, when they came back, then he said, now all the local girls have to go back to their families. There were a few of them who did not have family there. One of them was my mother. So he put her up with Pandit Raghunath Sharma, who was the president of the India Independence League in Bangkok, and she stayed there for 7 months because her father by then had gone to Kuala prison. And when they were released, then they all came back together. So this is the story I thought would, because it's something that I've seen and and has been narrated to me. And there's so many others that I have. In the meantime, Sati Devi during the war, apart from surviving, you remember that there are these 40 Tokyo boys, these youngsters cadets who were taken on to get military training in Japan. But when Japan surrendered, or towards the end when they couldn't run their training camp, these 40 boys they didn't know where to go. Now, these people, Sati Devi and others, had established something called the India House, India Lodge, where these kids would stay. And amongst them, whom I have got to meet, Captain Dasan, Captain Mitra, Captain Karmakar, these were pilots. They were being trained as pilots. And I have met these people. And because she was there and they wouldn't get food, so some stayed in their house to sleep on the floors because the house was small. So about 5, 6 of them stayed there. Then another 15, 20 of them stayed in India House. So, and they were fed. Food was very difficult to get. So they would get some ration, and ration was 1 kilo per person per month. Okay. So they would take a handful of rice, keep boiling it, and the mark they would drink. It was rare, and then you would go to the village and change her saris and all that. In exchange, she would get food so that others could eat. Many times neighbors were also hungry. So she made sure that, so this fight, continued, and it was just good luck that the iron is when they came back, my grandfather, and my mother, because my Sati Devi and her other 2 daughters and son were still stuck in Japan. They couldn't come. But then these people came back to India and they started going all over India, right from Lahore, Delhi, Lucknow, Kanpur, meeting people and telling them that because if you know, the story of INA had been hidden from the people. And when the soldiers started coming back, and that is why if you see pictures of her, she is in her dress, her uniform. And so was my grandfather and granduncle. So they would go to all these places, address meetings and tell them about how people sacrificed their lives. And that is the anger that started building up. And that is what got us freedom. Again, I am saying, while these people did a great job, and I know their story personally, I've also spoken to many in Southeast Asia. I spoke to one of them whose sister was a great friend of my mother. They were together in the same squad. And her younger sister, who was a tall, bulky lady, she said nothing doing. I'm going to the forward area. So she went all the way, up to Imphal, and came back. So I spoke to her about 6 months ago. I got a number from somewhere and I spoke to her. So she said, where have you come from? So I said, look, I've just heard of you. So then she talked for about almost an hour and a half and told us all the stories of hers. Still very gutsy, very feisty women. So that was the kind of women they made. And that is the Indian. That's why I call them Ma Durgas. So I think I'll stop there. I can still go on and on. But this is just as an example. And people not only are men, but girls must hear this story. Because India has always depended on its women. Okay. And it is the women who have given the courage for the men to fight. So I think that is what is required. Okay, that's all I think.
Actually, uncle, if you will look at the life of
Phone is coming. Yeah.
okay,
One minute.
Shall I continue, Adrija?
Yes, please, carry on.
Yeah. Uncle, if you will look at the life of, Srimati Sati Sen or Sati Sahay,
Yeah.
she got married to fight the freedom movement.
Yeah.
Even she had a, fight with her husband to serve the freedom movement.
Yeah.
And she made her children so prepared at that age to join
Yes.
the army.
Yeah.
And here I would just like to mention one thing, that even
Yeah.
if we will go through the lives of the revolutionaries, they are actually made with the courage given by their mothers.
Yeah. Yes.
Even Bagha Jatin, whom we know as the one of the most fearless freedom fighters of
Yes.
India,
Of course. Yeah.
and who was described by Charles Taggart himself as the bravest Indian he saw.
Mm-hmm.
In his childhood, Bagha Jatin was used to scared of taking bath in a river or pond. Bagha Jatin was scared uh, when a barking dog actually approached him. It was his mother who took Bagha Jatin one day and just throw him in the river, and then she also had a swim with him, and there he helped the boy to overcome the fear of
Water.
swimming in the water. And when Bagha Jatin came to her mother, scared of a barking dog, the mother gave him a stick and said to just stand with this stick and this dog will go away. And it happened. And then she said to Bagha Jatin that, see, I don't want to be called as a mother of a coward. So this is the kind of mothers we had at that time to prepare their children for the harsh war of independence. And now I will tell about three women in our independence movement. One is Sister Nivedita.
Yeah.
She came to India after listening to the lectures of Swami Vivekanand in Europe, and especially in England probably. And then she came to India along with his guru, and she joined the social work of his guru, and alongside she used to be behind the screen supporting the freedom movement from the very beginning for their fund collection, to give the information what she used to collect from various sources about the upcoming arrest or raids. Whatever is possible for her, she always used to do that. And she was very much involved in the development of the Yugantar party, and she was very much involved with the work of Shri Aurobindo Ghosh. And finally, when Aurobindo Ghosh was almost going to be arrested by the British police for the second time, it was Sister Nivedita who passed on the information, and on that basis, Aurobindo Ghosh finally went to Pondicherry. So she was one of the, one of the leading women, and I really don't feel to describe her as a foreigner woman. She was very much Indian by her heart, and she helped the revolutionaries to sustain and to continue the freedom movement. Secondly, I will like to name Srimati Durgavati Bhora, or Durga Bhavi, who was actively involved in the revolutionary work of the Hindustan Socialist and Republican Army led by Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh and all. And she helped actually Bhagat Singh to escape from Punjab She acted as the wife of Bhagat Singh, and she took her infant son with her, as she was the wife and Bhagat Singh was the husband, and Rajguru acted as the servant of that couple. And she took all the risk to help Bhagat Singh to escape from Punjab and to avoid the arrest at that time after Saunders' killing. And when Bhagat Singh and all the revolutionaries, including Jotindar, Sukhdev, Rajguru, Batukeshwar Datta, they all were having their hunger strike for almost 2 months. Durga Bhabi was there to continue with rallies in protest of their hunger strike and to spread the revolutionary ideas among the people. So she was also should be remembered in our discussion, I think. And at the very last, I would just like to mention about one lady whom even we don't know the name. When before the first Lahore conspiracy case, or the Pan-India revolution planned by Rajbihari Bose, it was needed for Rajbihari to have a house in Lahore to plan the revolution and to be in touch with other groups working in the various part of North India. But at that time, somehow British police had the idea that Rajbihari Bose is in search of a rented house in some part in North India. So they actually issued an order not to give a rent to any single bachelor person. So this young lady came forward and she enacted the role of the wife of Rajbihari Bose. And for almost 2 months, she had the identity of the wife of Rajbihari Bose and helped Rajbihari to get a rented house in Lahore. And when British police actually arrested all the revolutionaries on 20th of February 1915, she also got arrested. And after vigorous interrogation, when she refused to take any name and to tell anything about Rajbihari, she went through tremendous torture by the soldiers of that barrack. She was raped probably for 9 times at that time by the soldiers, and they thought her as dead and they just left her. And someone picked her up and gave the possible and required treatment. And finally, this young lady had to choose a life of a prostitute in Lucknow. And Rajbihari Bose came there in Lucknow and rescued uh, this brave lady. And before leaving the nation, before leaving to Japan, Rajbihari sent this brave lady to one of his known ashram in Haridwar, and she spent her life there. So these kind of unsung warriors, unsung women warriors we had, and that's why today we are standing free. We are breathing free. So with remembering each and every woman who contributed in our freedom struggle, it is from the Rani Lakshmibai to Matangini Hajra, and from Pritilata Vadedar to all the Ranis of Rani Jhansi Regiment. We are concluding our session today, and we really hope to see our girls of this generation to feel for the nation in the same way and keep the nation above everything when you are planning to do something for the nation. This is our freedom, this is our democracy, which we have to protect. So with remembering all this woman warrior, we are concluding our session today.
I want to add one thing. I want to
Yes,
add
Aunty,
just
sure,
one small
sure.
thing. And this is especially for my uh, our lady listeners, that one of the things that has always been said, and you said that Sati Devi raised her daughters in such a way, the same spirit is what my mother also preaches throughout her life. She's gone to these girls' colleges and told them that, look, you are the people who will bring up the next generation. You must put the spirit of India, independent India, into them, that patriotic spirit, because only then our freedom will survive. Okay, so not only remember the stories of freedom fighters, but become patriotic yourself, and that can only be done when they are really children, and they must hear these stories. After all, we also heard the stories of from the Ramayana and all that, and what was good and what was bad. So the same thing has to be done. So that is something that is my mother's message to all the young ladies who are listening here, all the mothers who are listening. Please inculcate this. It is very important. We are standing at a very important part in India's history and India's progress, and only they can inculcate the values of true India. That's all. Thank you.
Anusha, here I would love to, I would request you to share that proverb or story about that proper landing is needed, that airport example.
Yes, once actually it was told by one of the monks from the Ramakrishna mission, that once a mother asked him that why nowadays we are not getting the children like we have got during our independence movement. And then the monk answered that for the landing of a big aircraft, you need a proper aerodrome. You need a proper airfield to land. And nowadays, the mothers are not prepared to have that kind of children. So this is the basic need for the mothers to bring their children up with the values of the patriotism. So with this message and with these stories, we are ending our session today. And we promise to come back on 19th of August with another important aspect of the freedom movement, and we will discuss about the effect of INA trial on the independence. So with remembering all our women warriors of the freedom movement, we are concluding here tonight. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.